Okay, welcome back everyone for another week of Spiritism. We thank God for the opportunity to be able to learn more about ourselves and the world around us. Today we'll be talking about earthly joys and sorrows from the Spirit's book. This is Spirit's book part 4, Hopes and Consolations, Chapter 1. Today we'll focus on number 3, disappointments, ingratitude, and blighted affections. And of course, when I read the word blighted affection, it's not a common word we use in our English language, but blighted just means spoil, harm, or destroy. So destroyed affections, destroyed relationships, maybe. That's what it means, is blighted affections. Okay? Alright, so in the Spirit's book, they talk about being disappointed and ungrateful. It is common for us to feel disappointed at people who appear to be ungrateful, even more so when the ungrateful is a close friend. That would be difficult, wouldn't it? When someone is ungrateful to you, especially someone that's very close to you, how do you feel? You start to feel hurt, and then things start to unravel in your relationship. This can be the cause of great bitterness in our heart. So this is why they're talking about disappointments, because this is a sort of pain that we experience. It is a form of suffering that we have here. So why do we have to suffer these things? Friendships are fragile things. Friendships are fragile things and require as much care in handling as any other fragile and precious thing. That's by Randolph Bourne. So it is a fragile thing, a friendship. It's not the same as a relationship with a family member. A friendship is something else. I mean, it's something that you kind of do out of your own will. So Suzanne Diggs-White, PhD, wrote an article for Psychology Today entitled 10 Enduring Truths About Friendship. We're not going to go through all 10 of them. We're just going to pick a couple of them that were there that I thought were relevant. The very first thing you see in this article, and it's online, Psychology Today, you can go online and see it there. The very first thing on there, it says, if you showed up unannounced, who would put you up for the night? In other words, how do you determine who your true friends are? Are they on social media? Some of us have hundreds, even thousands of friends on social media. But if you go to one of their houses, ring the doorbell unannounced and say, hey, I'm one of your friends on Facebook. Let me in. Can I stay here? I don't have a place to stay. What are they going to say? Most likely, I really don't know you. But we're friends right there on social media. Well, that's not the same thing, is it? It's not the same. And that was the first thing she put on her article. So, friendships are among the most essential and supportive types of relationships you will ever establish. Because while family relationships are typically non-negotiable, friendship is a voluntary institution. So you're born into your family, you don't get to pick. I mean, they're non-negotiable. They're there. They're your family members. But your friends, you get to pick your friends. You pick and choose them. That's why friendships are so fragile. Okay? They're very fragile because a family member, well, you're there. I mean, you're gonna get angry at each other, but they're still your family no matter what. But your friends, you get angry at each other, all of a sudden you lose that person, you'll never communicate with that person ever again. Friendship can offer an enduring, lifelong bond and become an unrivaled source of mutual support, both emotional and instrumental. But it is important to recognize that a friendship untended can quickly become a friendship ending. So that's what Dr. White was saying. If you don't nourish this friendship, and I can say any relationship, really, even your family members, if you don't nourish a friendship, then it's not going to stay strong. You're not going to bond. The bond won't be there. So it's up to us to do that. Okay? She went on to say, Dr. White went on to say that genuine friendships take more than a post on a network to keep them strong. Not all friendships will be a friends forever relationship. Okay? We assume a lot of times, well, he's my friend. He's going to be my friend forever. We're never going to break up. Well, really? I mean, is that possible? Some friends we have friends, I believe, on different levels. Some friends are like coworkers, and we have this mutual respect, and we need each other so we can accomplish certain tasks. They're not necessarily your buddies that you hang out with at home all the time. We do have those relationships, by the way. We do have close friends that are pretty much akin to family. And those friends, we do want to nourish as much as possible to keep them together because we truly respect each other. Studies show that most adults have only one or two close friends beyond their significant others, beyond your family members. This is a study that she read. Most adults have one or two friends. So don't worry if you're wondering, I only know one person. That's okay. That's typical. It's not typical to have 120 friends and they're all that close to you. How can you tend to each one of them? How can you be there for every single one of them when they call you? Usually an adult has one or two very close friends. Someone you can depend on like any other family member. All right? So that's typical in the study. Even if we're able to identify our real life friends, okay, there's no guarantee that one will always appreciate the other equally. There's no guarantee there. But we are taught to feel pity for our ungrateful friends. If they're ungrateful to us, they teach us, hey, you need to be, and need to understand that maybe they're going through something. So be understanding. Their unkindness will do more harm to themselves than to you. Okay? And the Bible taught us that. In Luke chapter 6, verse 35, but love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for He is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. The key sentence I think here is expecting nothing in return. When our expectations of a relationship don't materialize, we become bitter in our heart. We have these expectations. He's my friend. He's supposed to have these expectations. When they say no to us, that's my friend. He's denying my request for something that I really need. And then we put ourselves in that predicament. Did he do it to us or she? Not necessarily. We're sort of doing it to ourselves because of those expectations that we have. Expect nothing in return. Hey, I need help with my pickup truck. Can you tow me? Can you give me a tow? I'll tow it back. Sure. Do it. Then something happens. Hey, but I can't make it. Your friend says he can't make it? Yeah, I'm really stuck over here, and I'm not going to be there. I was really sorry. Then what happens to that relationship? But I just helped you a couple of weeks ago. I towed your truck, but I'm really in a tight bind here. I just can't leave. I can't help you today. Our expectation was, hey, if I help you, you should come help me. I dropped everything to go tow your truck. You can't drop everything to come help me. Those expectations eat away at us because we have them in our own mind. We are expecting something in return for everything we give. But Jesus taught us not to do that, didn't he? He taught us to give freely, to give of those in need, and don't expect anything back. Ingratitude comes from selfishness. Selfish people will, sooner or later, meet others with hearts as hard as their own. So, being ungrateful means that you're being selfish. It means that you're thinking about yourself. And that's it. Someone does something for you and you don't even return a kind smile or a thank you because you think that whatever they did to help you maybe didn't help you enough because you wanted more and it didn't meet your expectations of what help really was. But hey, this is all I could give you right now, man. Really? You're my friend. You're supposed to be there and you're supposed to help me. Where do we have that? Where does that come from that we have these internal expectations of others? Why do we have that? because we're being selfish. Like little babies, we didn't get what we wanted. Think of someone who's done more good than you and whose kindness has been repaid with ingratitude. Let's just take a moment and think about that. Do we know anyone that has done so much?
Jesus.
That's one. Jesus.
Oh, are you talking about the tree?
No, that's a good answer. Any answer is a good
Jesus?
answer. Oh, yeah. That we know personally, maybe in our lives.
Our mom.
Moms, dads, parents, maybe grandparents, maybe a really good friend, a close friend. But yet we see the ingratitude being paid back to them. Doesn't that hurt when we see that? It really is hurtful. How many of you have seen children being ungrateful to their parents? But say you're looking at a family and you're just like, man, this woman is giving them everything, and look at these children, how they're treating her. Don't we see that? We've seen that, right? Jesus himself, wait, who said Jesus? Thank you, Loretta. Jesus himself was scoffed at, despised, and treated as an impostor during his lifetime, was he not? He wasn't very popular among most people. So he went through a lot. He went through a lot of pain and suffering for everything he did. Ungratefulness. Let's put him on the cross. Wow. Don't be surprised if you're treated in the same way. Okay? We're trying to follow Jesus' footsteps, then expect to be treated as Jesus was treated. Expect it. Understand that when you're lending your hand to someone else, it may be slaps and say, get away from me. Don't get offended. Don't get offended. It's just a slap on the hand. Okay, but what do? No, you ungrateful person, and then we go off on them, and then we get angry and anxious, and we feel deceived by people that we're trying to help, and they're ungrateful. Does that not cause pain in our lives? It does. Not necessarily from the ungrateful person, but from our own expectations of that ungrateful person for not being grateful. It hurts. But if we can practice not hurting ourselves, because we keep shooting ourselves in the foot every time these expectations aren't met, if we can practice giving freely without expectation, now we're on the right path. Now we're growing, we're learning, we're more patient and calm. And we can be helpful to others too, who perhaps may be more grateful than someone who wasn't. Any thoughts? Yes.
Well, I think what Jesus was most disappointed, but the people in his own area, his own neighborhood, did not believe in him, because they would always say, "Hombre, he's just the son of the carpenter. You know, he doesn't know anything. Where does he get all these teachings that he's saying?"
So they had a little more insight on who Jesus really was, and they're thinking, well, this guy is a carpenter. Who does he think he is, trying to preach to us?
Yeah.
But then what happened when he left?
Then they realized that he was a great one, but he was already,
Yes.
Jesus knew, he understood what they were coming from,
Right.
because that's what it says, you will not be a king in your own area.
Yes. In your own land. You will not be a king in your own land.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. So as he traveled, he became better known for his words and his wisdom, and people began to believe in his teachings. And not because he was just telling people what to do, right? He was literally doing. He was literally doing. And that's something we can all learn from. Very good. Let your conscience be your reward for having done something good to someone else, no matter who it is. No matter who it is, whether it be the ungrateful friend, doesn't matter who it is. Do good to them anyway. Okay? Ingratitude serves to test your persistence in doing good. That's the key right there. Because we would wonder, well then why did God create us this way? Why are we ungrateful to each other? That's not fair. How are we supposed to get along on this earth? If there's grateful people and ungrateful people on here, then I don't want to be part of it. Give me happiness and joy. Make it easy. That would be way too easy. I think we need to work for it. So ingratitude serves a purpose, doesn't it? People that are ungrateful serve a purpose to test our perseverance. Are we gonna, as they say in Spanish, le voy a terquear, no lo voy a dejar por más así. I'm not going to be satisfied with that. I'm going to work hard and I'm going to continue to do good to others, even though I was hurt by this person and that person, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep working at it. It's very powerful to be able to get to that point. Any comments about this? Good. You will reap what you sow, but perhaps not in this lifetime. Okay, there comes the justice of God, and here again comes the word reincarnation in Spiritism. Because you might think, well, that guy's ungrateful. He received a great service, and he's walking away happy. Where's his punishment for being ungrateful? You see him 10 years later, he's still a really happy guy. He got away with it. He got away with it. Man, I did something great for that person. He never returned not even a single sentiment of gratitude. You see him 15 years later, still happy, doing great. And probably even prospering from having received your help. Where's the justice of God in that? Well, you're not going to receive perhaps any kind of compensation right on this particular incarnation. It may happen later on in the future. And that person who was ungrateful to you will suffer the consequences. They'll have to face what they did to you. The ungrateful will suffer, I just said that, yay. The ungrateful will suffer the consequences of their actions according to God's justice. We have to have faith in God's justice, in the laws of God. But you see, this is where it's a win-win situation for both of us. The ungrateful and the one who is kind and helping the ungrateful. What does each of them get? The one who's kind eventually will reap what he's sown. Like he will benefit from having done good to somebody else. He or she. Eventually. The one who's ungrateful will learn to be grateful eventually. Will eventually realize, wow, what I did to that person, he helped me so much, and I didn't even do anything to help him back. That person will then learn in turn. So we're still learning from each other, aren't we? That's kind of a really cool system, I think. A double-edged sword, as they call it. It's a win-win. Okay? So, God's laws are set to such perfection. Who are we to question that? Who are we to say, that's unjust? How dare God allow this to happen? Spiritism brings about justice of God. Be a generous person and do not allow the ungrateful to harden your heart. So don't let these ungrateful people bring you down, because then you're going to become useless to others. Period. Without a doubt, we will suffer in life through disappointments and ingratitude. It's going to happen. It will serve as a test of our will to do good. What are we going to learn from this? We're going to learn self-control. We'll be able to control our thoughts, our emotions, because that's why we're here. We're learning through each other's actions. We're learning about ourselves. You're going to achieve more balance. You'll be more calm, determined, confident, and you'll develop a stronger willpower to continue on, no matter how people react to your good works, no matter how they respond to it. You're going to persevere. You're going to continue moving on, because you have self-control. We already heard what it sounded like when you lose control. That is, how can this ungrateful person treat me this way, right? you lose control. Yeah, and then you start assuming all these thoughts. Okay, let's just break it down here. Wouldn't we just live a happier life if we just stop being nice to everyone? Let's just stop. Get away from that. I'm not going to be nice to anyone anymore. Wouldn't that be just freedom? Just stop. Don't do anything. Let life go by. People say, you're too nice. You're too nice. People take advantage of you. They use you. You're trying to help too many people. And because of your kindness, you're getting trampled on. Stop doing that. Is that what we should do? Should we just stop being nice because we're being taken advantage of all the time? That's something we need to think about really, really strongly. So would we be happier? No, we wouldn't be happier if we stopped being nice to everyone. Our lives would be overcome with selfishness and would deteriorate into more disappointments if we were kind to some and not to others. We're going to end up being more hurt in the long run. Happiness would come in the form of having a clear conscience, knowing that we treated our friends as we would like to be treated, as Jesus taught us. If you have a clear conscience, knowing that you did your best, and you still receive something bad in return, but you did your best, then your conscience is clear. It's clear. That is a form of happiness. Therefore, if a friendship comes to an end, there shall be no regrets. Because you've tried everything. You've done what you could. Not all friendships last an entire lifetime. I remember growing up with some very close friends in school. They lived in my neighborhood. We rode bikes and we played around, and we were pretty much brothers. We never separated. But then high school came and went, and we went our separate ways. We haven't heard from each other since. Do I regret any of that? No, I don't regret it. That taught me a whole bundle of life lessons, being with those close friends at that time in my life. At that time in my life, God put us together to learn as children. And then we separated, we went our separate ways. How many of us have friends that we've known that were very close at one time, and now we just lost connection, or we lost touch? That's normal, it happens. As we said before, you can't have 120 super close friends all the time. And it's going to be a nightmare trying to keep track of everyone that close. One or two, you're good. Okay, so now we worry a lot. We tend to worry about, oh my God, my friend is not treating me right. And then we start to bog our mind with worries about, why are these things happening, and maybe I should have this, and maybe I could have that. So then there's this poster we talked about a few months ago, and it's called Then Why Worry? And I have one more sentence to read. Your indifference to their ill treatment will place you above them. Your indifference. So don't worry about how they're treating you. Okay, you'll rise above them by not having an argument with these people and saying, well, you're not doing what you're supposed to do in our relationship. So here's then why worry? Do you have a problem? No, my friends are pretty good, and we're together, and we seem to be getting along. We have no problems. Then why worry? You see, you say no, you go to then why worry? Well, I'm afraid, because what if I mess things up? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I go out to the island, or I go out to a vacation and I don't tell my friend that I'm going? What if I try to do too much and I overdo it, and then my friend wants to leave? What if I, whoa, stop, right there. Is there a problem? No. Then why worry? Because currently your relationship is good. You just said your relationship was fine. Then why are you putting all these thoughts in your head? What ifs? I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to mess it up. I love my friend. Well, now you're living in fear and you're worrying. But why? Your relationship's fine. Alright, so do you have a problem? Yes. What's the problem? Well, my friend is ungrateful. I keep doing stuff and my friend doesn't even notice what I'm doing. That's a problem. Can you do something about it? But if the answer is yes, I can do something about it. Okay, then why are you worrying? Why you have all these why is all this going through your head? If you can do something about it, what can you do with a friend who's being ungrateful? You can ask them, you can tell them the problem, maybe work it out, have a talk, or cut them off completely. Is that possible? Should we do that? Maybe as a last resort, right? How do we know when it's time to just cut off our friendship? How do we know? Is it easy to find out? How do we know if maybe it's worth salvaging and maybe we can work things through? Here's how we know. If your relationship is so toxic to the point where your friend isn't even allowing you to live a life, let's just say, oh my God, my friend is so mad because I'm hanging out with my family and they want me to go out with him. He's so mad, he's so jealous because I want to be with my brother instead of with my friend, and he won't leave me alone. He's texting me and he's in my face, and I just can't live in peace anymore. I can't hang out with my own family because my friend is in my face all the time. Is that a toxic relationship? Yes. It is someone who's trying to take control of your life. At that point, is it worth keeping that friendship? If your friend chooses to continue, even after you've explained to your friend, hey, look, we're cool. I love you. I want to hang out with you. But this is happening in my life. When you do this, I'm getting bogged down with all these negative things that you're giving me, and I just can't even work anymore. I can't go to work. I can't spend time with my family because you get jealous. You get upset. You want me to spend all this time with you. Do you mind giving me some space? Now, a true friend, but Jesus says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now you're asking yourself, am I being selfish if I tell my friend we're not friends anymore? Am I being selfish? Well, let me tell you something. A true friend would tell you the truth. A true friend would say, I love you, but this isn't, what's going on here isn't working out. A true friend, I would want to know if I was causing harm to my friend. I believe all of you would too. If I was causing some kind of harm to my friend, a true friend would tell you, hey, when you do this, wow, that's not cool. Don't do that. Can you stop? Two friends can communicate at that level. And you'll know who your friends are. Okay. Do you have a problem? Yes. My friend's ungrateful. Can you do something about it? No. I can't do anything about it. Why? Because even after we've talked and we've tried everything, my friend continues to be ungrateful. Now your friend has made a choice to be selfish. Your friend has made a choice to be selfish. Can you do something about it? No. Then why are you worrying? Because I love my friend. I don't want to lose my friend. Now you've got other problems. You've got problems with having to cling on to problems. Now a lot of us do that unconsciously. We hang on to things that we don't need to hang on to anymore. They're toxic to our life. And they're toxic to the relationships you have with others, not just your friend. Unless your friend sees the light all of a sudden and says, whoa, you know what, dude, I'm really sorry, man, but I put you through a lot. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't know I was hurting you this way. And when you first told me, I didn't get it. I'm really sorry. Wow. There's a friend right there. You get chills, right? When your friend comes to you and humbles him or herself to you and says, you were right, man. I made a mistake. I didn't mean to. I didn't know. I didn't realize I was doing this to you. This little model here applies to anything else in our lives too. Not just friends. It applies to anything else. Do you have a problem? Yeah. Can you do something about it? Yeah, my car broke down. Can you do something about it? Yeah, I can. Then why are you worrying? Well, because at that moment the car breaks down. Oh my God! And then you go through all these fits and cries, and I could have sworn that it was working yesterday, and now do we have to put ourselves through all of that anguish and anger and pain and suffering we're doing it to ourselves. Take it easy. Take a deep breath. Then don't worry. Any questions? Additions to that? Okay. Anna Blackwell is the first translator of the Spirits book. In the late 1800s, she got the Spirits book, which was originally written in French. She translated it to English. And in that English translation, in that Spirits book that she translated, she puts her little notes, her little side notes. I don't commonly quote her on a lot of those side notes. I do love what she says. But this one was very, very well written, and I wanted to share this with you. She wrote, "Nature has implanted in man the need of loving and of being loved. One of the greatest enjoyments, according to him, upon the earth is the meeting with hearts that sympathize with his own. This sympathy gives him a foretaste of the happiness that awaits him in the world of perfected spirits, where all is love and kindness, a happiness that is refused to the selfish." Folks, there's a better world out there. There are better worlds, plural, according to Spiritism, inhabited by higher level, higher thinking beings than ourselves. We're still on the lower third of the area here as we progress. So, the enjoyments that we feel with our relationships with each other, that's just a glimpse of the joy we're going to feel in the future. We're allowed to feel those joys. We're allowed to feel happiness. We just have to know where to look half the time. Because a lot of times we're not looking in the right places. We're looking for joy and happiness most of the time in the wrong places. We look for our joy and happiness in drugs, in alcohol, in abuses, in abusing others. We think that's joyful. Some people, crazy people, will get that far to where they're abusing other people, using them as slaves, and they find joy and happiness in that. Those are false joys. They're very temporary. And believe me, when we're doing something that is not for the benefit of someone else, it's going to come back to us. Some call it karma, but we always suffer the consequences of our actions. That's the law of God. So, what you reap, what you sow, you shall reap. Okay, very good. Are there any comments or additions to what we talked about today? I thought this was really important to share because I think that we do find people we sympathize with. And I think we have to be careful, how do you say, not to be too comfortable with all of those who think alike. You want to hang out with people who think like you, and you want to spend all your, or most of your time with them, because they encourage us and they help us. They're very important. People we sympathize with are very important in our lives. But don't knock those who don't sympathize with us, because they're the ones who teach us probably the most about ourselves. Why do I agree with that person? Why do they have different views? Politically, spiritually. Why are their views different than mine? Rather than bashing those people and saying, well, you're wrong and I'm right, because I have the higher moral ground than you do, as we've heard many times. Why do we have to bash other people? Because it makes us feel better. We're selfish. But why don't we take other people's points of view and really ponder that and research and find out, why do they think the way they think? Those that do not sympathize with us, you see? That's why we're here on this earth, is to learn from each other. And if you're only hanging out with all the people that birds of a feather, right, just flocking together, hanging around, and you're in la la land, you're in happiness, and your spiritual growth then you grow, but not at as fast a rate as if you were to really take on this challenge of getting to know those who are antipathetic to you. It doesn't mean you have to live with them and stay with them and always be around them and ignore all of your other sympathizers. No, absolutely not. But once in a while, get out of your comfort zone and boom, boom, boom. Get to know somebody. Find out what their thoughts are, how they believe. And always know that they're children of God, just like you and I. So spend a little time with them. Find out where they're coming from. Everybody has a certain, ideology. The danger here is when you want your ideology to, supersede anyone else's. You want yours to win all the time. You gotta win. So we gotta fight. We gotta fight to win, and fight, and win. Who wins and who loses at the end of that battle or of that war? Because you use the word fight. I'm gonna fight for my right. I'm gonna fight for, Okay, well, you have the right, yes, to defend yourself, to make sure you're safe and your family is safe. Everyone agrees with that. Even the non-sympathizers agree, right? So there's lots of things we can all come together and agree on. A lot of things. Yet, I think, in this day and age, we choose to focus on what we don't agree on. And it's not really that much when you look at it. I don't think it's that much. We agree on more things than we disagree. So, this sympathy gives us a foretaste of happiness that awaits us in a world of perfected spirits, because that's where we're headed. We're headed there, to a world of better things. And kindness and happiness reigns in other worlds. It doesn't take much precedence here yet. Love and kindness, not yet. But we're on the right track. We're headed there. We no need to be pessimistic. See the world as such a horrible thing. It's getting better if you look at our history. Look at the overall big picture. I think things have improved. Technology? Anyone have any idea how technology is going to improve our lives, or is it going to make our lives worse? You see, there's a iffy thing there. Some of us may think, well, technology is going to be our doom. There's going to be artificial intelligence, AI, and it's going to be the end of humanity.
Yes, but we were in this planet, in this world, in this universe, learning as time goes by.
Correct.
If you study, go back to history, say about 10,000 years ago, and you see the way we probably lived back then, there was no technology. There was nothing. Like I was telling my wife when we started seeing these things happening at an instant. See, like when the Twin Towers got blown away.
Yes.
And she said, "Wow, this is happening. Yeah, it's happening all over the world." But the thing about it, there was no technology. By the time you found out that something had happened, that probably 20, 30, 40 years, probably 100 years before you found out that certain piece of the earth moved. Because today technology, they're seeing on a split second the evolutionary parts of the world.
Correct.
So we can't sit back and wait for things not to change, because we have to change with them, because we are in an evolutionary situation. So we have to keep up with it.
That's absolutely right. And technology is going to help at some point, a lot more than we think it will, I think. But it's basically a tool, in my opinion. Technology is another tool, like a hammer is a tool. Technology, you can use a hammer to kill someone. You can use technology to harm other people, just like you can use a hammer. But you can use a hammer to build beautiful homes for people. Homes they can live in and enjoy. You can use technology for the same thing. Beautiful things for people to learn, to grow. So It depends on us and how we use it. All right. So in summary, let's just summarize what we went through here. Friendship is fragile, and if left untended, a friendship can quickly become ended. Be good to your friends and expect nothing in return. Know who your friends are. Most adults have one or two good friends, and that's perfectly fine. Know who they are and nourish that relationship. Ingratitude comes from selfishness. How persistent are you at wanting to do good? Ungrateful people will test your will. And that there's a reason for everything. There's a purpose. If you want to be happy, be grateful. Don't let ingratitude disappoint you. Okay? And with that, I'd like to thank you guys for another week of studying Spiritism. And we hope to see you next week. Thank you all so much.